Jesus is saying his realm is not dependent upon acceptance by any earthly authority or appointments. So the Gospel of John is, in his speaking, especially to a Greek world, speaks a great deal about truth and light as the meaning of the incarnation, if you read the Gospel of John. But John does not see this as some simple proposition that we can grasp without delving into it. The truth is rather a revelation of the fundamental pattern of life. That is, the Word is the very pattern of the world. Truth is the pattern. Moral integrity is the pattern. The pattern of life comes into its own, but its own receive him not. Yet as many who receive him become sons and daughters of God. There is the natural pattern of life is truth. It's light, it's love, it's the Word incarnate. But we bury it. We entomb it through the decisions that we make. We separate ourselves from the truth, from the light, from the Word, from the pattern of existence. And that would really be the definition of sin. Not what we treat or those kinds of things. But that is a real understanding from the gut of the sin. In other words, what Jesus' life does is try to make it very clear that our world, the way we have organized things, is alienated from his true character. And he tries to help us understand anew what the true character is, what our true character is. What we really are. Who we really are. The kingdom of truth that he talks about, this pattern, or what we're used to, the kingdom of heaven, is not about the kingdom of some other world. It is a picture of what this world ought to be. That's what the kingdom of heaven is about, what this world ought to be. And Jesus understands this. If he brings the pattern, if he brings the light, if there's this rallying around him, then the kingdom of heaven will come to earth. Isn't that the Lord's prayer? See how radical that is? Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Pilate didn't understand how revolutionary that is. Jesus is saying, let's bring into being the world that ought to be. And I'm not going to do it through weapons, through military conquest. I'm going to do it through the truth. Because if people know the truth will indeed set them free. And they cannot live incarcerated any longer. That's what he's talking about. That's not threatening. He's talking about the world cries out for a sense of moral conscience and consciousness. And this realm of moral conscience and consciousness does impinge on the world. It impinges on the decisions and the actions that we undertake. And that's what he's trying to help us to understand. It is this idea that I cannot rest in my lethargy. It means that I may engage in means that my compromises, the compromises I make, we make on a regular basis, our compromises are under the judgment of my ideals. And that's why Dr. Thurman's great thing, keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve, that in good times or in tempest foul weather, I may not forget that to which my life is committed comes into play here. All that we do, even when we do things that go against are under the judgment of our ideals. Those ideals stay with us, hopefully, and keep pushing us to try to bring them into being, to try to manifest them, to try to make them live within us and in the world through us. It means that the corruption of justice must not have the final say. This is indeed a threat to the social order. Jesus did not say, I came to bear witness to virgin birth. He did not say, I came to bear witness to physically getting up from the grave. He did not say that. He said, I came to bear witness to the truth. But it is amazing how Christians have gotten into these things so much, where these things, virgin birth and physical, are the things upon which their religion is built. And if you don't believe it, you cannot be a Christian from the point of view of so many people. I remember once, years ago, when I preached at a church, I was a candidate for a church, and after I preached, this woman came right, do you believe in the virgin birth? I think I said something in my sermon that might have raised questions with the But my point is, if Fred and Wilma Flintstone, if Betty and Barney Rubble could create life out of a cave, what's so spectacular about Jesus getting up out of the cave? And certainly he should be able to do it, Barney and Fred and Wilma and do it.
Yes, sir.
You have a question?
Certainly the tomb would not be the end of Jesus' journey.
Right.
The idea is, when Jesus was crucified, and he had these disciples around him, wonderful people in their own way. But when things got hot and rough, we're not dealing with cum laude graduates. But as I mentioned before, as one of my friends said, thank you, naughty graduates. They were not prepared to deal with the realities that their leader was going to be taken, and when they should have been there for him and with him, what happened? They betrayed, they denied, they lied, they hid, they ran. His disciples, his students, were not ready for that final examination. So they did all these things. And then what happens? The leader dies. They did not expect that. He dies. And what happens when a charismatic leader dies, leaves? Then those around are so messed, they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. They were stunned, shattered. Where do we go from here? Because so much of who they are was dependent upon the leader. They confused the fact that Jesus talked about the pattern or the pattern of life. He was the vehicle, not the source. And John might disagree with me with that. I might disagree with John. He was not the source. He was the vehicle. He was the vessel. What he did was he kindled something that was already within them. But they did not understand it. He he was the fire that kindled. He was not the source. So when he was killed, the world was thrown asunder. I think I told you some years ago when I asked Dr. Thurman, how do you interpret the resurrection? And we talked about all these things I talked about. He said, I think the disciples said they needed something to help me make it through the night. And that's how we got the resurrection story. It is the fact that after he died, they said this can't be the end. He can't leave us. And they gathered and talked about him. Structured, you remember. And in that process, they were renewed. They were resurrected. They saw him coming to life again in their own lives. It was for them that we have the resurrection story. And you'll note that Jesus never appeared to Pontius Pilate. None of the people in opposition. The gospel never talked about it. He went there and the people in opposition said, oh, wow, he really was. No, appeared only to those who already believed. Jesus did not need the resurrection.